I hope you are having a great weekend. A happy Halloween to you. We are big into doing Halloween displays, so I'm doing the shoot from a different location in our house this week, but I hope you guys are not scared of this bear market. This week we do have the Halloween test drive. You can just go to bit.ly/Halloween and it'll bring you right here. It is $8.88 for a full week of trying Trade Ideas Premium, which is amazing software. Absolutely love it. So definitely check that out. We'll go ahead and we'll get into the SPY analysis for the week of the indices. So you guys have heard me, like 2 weeks ago, I was saying, all right, guys, if we break this level up here, sorry, we've got lots of support levels and things like that, but I was saying, hey, listen, if we break this level here, then it looks like we're going to have a pretty nasty couple weeks ahead. Well, sure enough, 1, 2, 3 weeks of nastiness, and now we're down here at this 265 level. So if we pull it back on the weekly chart, you can actually see this looks like it could potentially be a support. However, we did close below this support line, it looks like, right? So maybe if we bring it down here, 265, if we drag this line down just a bit more down here. So the 265 level, I think if we break below this 265 level, we're definitely going to test the 261 area, which is, you can see it's the bottom of these wicks on the weekly chart. Sorry, I do have a bit of a cold. We're getting our first winter snow up here. On the monthly chart, you can see that really, we'll get rid of the pivots here. If you guys don't use pivots, definitely check them out, but I will remove them for now. So it looks like we could break that 254 really down here, 250 level after 261, then potentially down here to 238, and then come on down here. Really, I think 219 is probably where, if it continues down and it gets to the worst, it would go down there. We've got the 50 period moving average on the monthly at roughly 230. So that might provide a bounce of support as well. Let me get rid of the Bollinger Bands as well on this. All right. So definitely, I'm also going to shoot out a link for the videos to watch from the summit last weekend, which were awesome. Amazing stuff. JC Parets is very cool, very knowledgeable, takes a big macro view of the market and shows you how it affects the global markets are really affecting the US market. Really, we were the only ones that were up above the moving averages, not moving averages, excuse me. We were the only ones that were showing really a massive return on investment this year. Everyone else was like 10, 15. We're up there like 72%. So we definitely had some correction in the works to come in. So now it's a matter of, is this a correction or is it going to turn into a bear market like the press is saying? And many times, the press will almost create a foretelling prophecy that, oh, this is a bear market to come, it's a bear market to come. It might not be one yet, but the fact that they're endorsing it in everybody's mind could create the panic selling, which would make it worse. So here we are on the daily for the NASDAQ, and you can see it did break the 200-day moving average on the daily chart. We've got this level right here, 166. It looks like it was support, broke through that. Potentially down here, 160 would be the next level. I would say keep on watch, and then down here at 154, maybe 155 area as well, and then it could get a lot worse, guys, but the market will decide. It really depends on where the big guys are putting all their money. On the weekly chart, I'd say, definitely 156. Looks like that would probably be the next support. And then on down to 146 after that. So it looks like it's probably going to get worse, in my opinion, before it gets better, but we shall see. Let's look at the Russell. On the weekly chart here, looks like we've found a bit of a support at 146.80 area. After that, it could go down to 142, then potentially down all the way down there to 132 level, which happens to be near the 200-day moving average, 133.44. So in my opinion, it looks like we are potentially going to get worse before we get better. As always, guys, I did have my Series 7 back in 2007. It is no longer current. So on my watch list, please do your own due diligence. All trading does have its own risk. So please make sure that you do trade with research and doing your due diligence before you get into a trade. All right, first one on the long list, we have seed. So we've got this 15-day 15-minute chart, I would look at support of 741 and resistance of 805. We back it out on the yearly chart. You can see we are breaking new highs for, well, just for the day, excuse me. And it looks like we could test this 828 level, and then after that it's been in a downward trend overall. It looks like that all the averages are curling up. We are holding above, and we could run up to, I'd say, the 10 area before it potentially sees a pullback, but obviously the market will decide. It looks like every time it has been oversold, it does have a nasty pullback after that, so just keep it on watch. You know, if it breaks the support level of 741, it could be a great short. That's what these levels are there for. It's that those have shown an important level to watch in the past. It's not just because it's on my long list does not mean that it's 100% going to be long for that week. It means it's where the momentum is going at the moment. So please watch it and make sure if it breaks out and you are short, that means you're more than likely going to get squeezed. If you are long and it breaks below that 741 level, you are probably going to take a pretty nasty loss if you don't get out and trade with proper risk management. So please watch them accordingly. But this one does have 1.73 million in the float and 60% short float volume on Friday. Next on the list, we have Brew, Craft Brew Alliance. So we've got a support of 1760 and resistance of 1815. It does have 11.22 million in the float and 48% short float volume on Friday. We do have an increase in volume right here. It did have a major surge up. We broke the 50-day moving average. 200-day moving average is up at 1890. It's still not in oversold territory. Earnings are coming up. Let's see, let's move it over here. Earnings are due to be reported on November 8th, so think about that if you're getting into it for swings. And if you back it out on the 15-minute chart, really it ended up strong at the end of the day, so I would expect this might have a nice squeeze before open and potentially continue on up into open since this was the first real green day up. Next one on the watch list is ESPR. 15-minute chart, again, another one. It's been in a downward trend and it bounced up, ended up strong on the day. I would look for it to continue up potentially. This is the 15-minute 200 period average. So look for that 43.35 potentially to be broken. We look at it on the year. It had a nasty drop down. Then it found support back over here. Bounced up on Friday. However, it is still below the averages over here, the moving averages. 50 period moving average, in this case 50-day moving average, would be 46.79. So it might have a nice $5 run up there before it might pull back. As you can see, that's sort of been holding as resistance for the daily periods. It does have 24 million in the float and 67% short float volume on Friday. Next on the long list, we have RNN, Rexam Pharmaceuticals. Same thing, big gap down to watch here. The high of this day was 120 and it closed at 116. It does have 25.25 million in the float, 43% short float volume on Friday. We've had a nice 3-day upward trend. You know, MACD is curling up, RSI. I don't necessarily use those indicators, as I look at them more for reasons not to get into something. Everything is looking like it's in an upward trajectory at the moment. You know, 119 is the 8 EMA that might provide resistance, and we have 120 right here. So I think, you know, on the short term, 109 as support and 117 as resistance. If it does break that 120, we've got 120 at least up to, I'd say, the low here of 130, a nice 10 cents there. But if it were to really squeeze up, you know, you've got a nice 40-cent move on this. But it did announce the offering back in October 17th. So for sure, it probably had that, you know, immediate drop down of people selling based on that news. However, it could squeeze up from here. Next on the long list, we have CUBI, Customers Bancorp. All the financials were being beaten down. This had earnings on Thursday. Second green day, could have a third green day. Support of 2054, resistance of 2124. It could run up all the way up there to 2335. It does have 29.27 million in the float and 30% short float volume on Friday. All right, get into the short list. As you guys know, the market took a beating. Amazon is on that list for the short list. You know, many times I don't have the big FANG stocks on there, but when I do, it's definitely important to watch them. This is the 200-day moving average. It opened below and closed below, you know, and I think it could go down further to 1573 as a first support level to watch. So that's a nice $70 move to the downside potentially. We also have, oh, and Amazon has 408 million in the float. We also have Google on here for shorts. You know, same thing. We have it holding below the 200-day moving average and below all these moving averages here. So if it does drop below 1067, I would look for that to break further down, test the support low of the day on Friday, 1042, and then potentially on down further, you know, down here to 1037, maybe even down to the support level down here, 1017. So potentially another $70 move to the downside there. Google does have 628 million in the float. Next on the list we have WDC, Western Digital, got a beating on Friday with earnings. So I would look for this again. Usually, like we see, it has 2 to 3 days to the downside. And so I think this does have more of a move to go. When we pull it back on the 5-year chart, you know, the 5-year low that we see is 35.90. If it breaks below that, big potential move to the downside. So keep this one on watch. You know, right here we've got this low of 39.54, $5 move. So potentially, really, you know, a $10 move to the downside. If we go below that $10 move, it's really going to drag down the market. There's 289 million in the float for Western Digital. Next, we have MHK. Let's look at this on the daily chart here. So MHK, 52-week lows. You know, usually I'm looking at the 52-week lows to find the further shorts to go into Monday. There have been so many lately. It's harder to find those ones breaking out to the upside. So definitely be cautious in going long. You know, it's harder to go against the trend of the market, which is generally down at the moment. The shorts are probably going to be easier in general because the general trend of the market is going down and the algos might have switched to be in a downward trend movement. All right, so on the daily chart, I would look at 113.45, the low of the day, and then 122.67 as the potential resistance right here on the day. If we back it out on the 5-year chart, you can see we're hitting 52-week lows. 5-year chart, it did find support right there. After that, I think it would go down to 106.07. So all of these bigger stocks look like they have at least a $10 move. Amazon and Google, $70 move potential to them. MHK has 60 million in it, and MLM has 62 million in it. Again, this is the 5-year chart. So it does look like if it breaks the support area 147, we could be going down to 137 and actually all the way down to 120 if it does break down from there. Let's pull it back onto the yearly chart and see. We've got a 52-week low here. So really the next level down to 150, which is right where it pretty much bounced, 150.75. After that, 147. So maybe another $9 move off of this. I do have 2 on the potential long list. We have HTH. So you can see Hilltop Holdings, nasty year. However, look, it had earnings and it's had 2 nice days up. It does look like it could have a little bit more to it on the upside. That 50-day moving average is holding as a, you know, moving resistance on the way down for it. So if you do get long, obviously make sure that you keep a tight stop in this market. Be smart about your entry, and I would look for a potential $2 to the upside. So make sure that you trade accordingly risk-wise. And COG, Cabot Oil and Gas. So this one had a new 52-week low and then a massive run up on Friday. You know, it's been bouncing. It's right at a support, like a multi-year support area. So I would say this one has the potential to continue up. But again, in this market, longs are much more difficult in my opinion. Some that you guys can trade, I would say day trade. If you can only go long and you're able to, like in a 401k or an IRA and you're self-directed, TVIX or BXX as well. Those are 2, but that's it, guys. I hear my little ones awake. So as always, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. Definitely let me know if there's anything you want to see in my vlogs that I'm now starting to share once a week.